Hey everyone, Laurel here, Minnesota Zone 5A. I'm just going to do a quick tour of the vegetable garden. We are middle of July, so things are coming along. I did start some things late this year, which is fine. Growing and harvesting is a lot of work and takes a lot of time, so I don't mind if it's sort of spaced out a little bit. I still have this garden bed. My raised beds, I have 4 of them. I have 2 round ones. Those were like the berry bed pack. And then 2 of the 6-in-1 raised beds from Vego Garden. I really like them a lot. I watched and waited until I saw the best price before I purchased them. They're super easy to put together and install. Supposed to be very durable. Of course, they're newer. I've had the bigger ones in now. This is their 2nd year, and the smaller ones, this is their 1st year. So, and I like the color selection that Vego offers, and they have a ton of accessories to go along with them that I want to get to, like lights, toolboxes, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, and then the rest of my garden, I grow some things in the ground, but I also use grow bags, like fabric grow bags that I get from Amazon, that I've purchased from Amazon, most of them. A few of them I've gotten on clearance at garden centers over the years, but Amazon tends to have the best prices. You can get a multi-pack for like 30 bucks or something. So I intend to put strawberries in here. I'm hoping maybe this weekend I can start doing that. Everything on the ground over here is strawberries. It started out with 5 plants and I let it just kind of run wild. These are ever-bearing strawberries. They are Seascape variety. Gosh, I probably bought them 5-6 years ago, the first ones. And they just send out runners. Now I'm trying to control the runners because it's just too hard to harvest all over the ground. It's hard to get at stuff in the beds. They do great in the ground, and you can see they're full of another flush. They had a big flush of berries in June, and then they keep flushing out strawberries throughout the summer. So it just got so hot. I didn't want to dig them up and transplant during their first flush of berries. I wanted them to be able to fruit. And then when they were kind of in a lull in between, it was like an inferno out here. So I really didn't want to be out here in the sun digging them up. So anyway, that's the plan for this bed. I'll probably leave a few in the ground because sometimes if we have a really bad winter, things in raised beds that are supposed to be perennials can die because they're raised above the ground and not as insulated from the cold. So over on this side, I have carrots. I think I have Bolero. I used up the last of an older seed packet. And then Yaya was a new carrot that I tried. I love growing carrots. I'm just amazed, like grocery store carrots, how dried out they look. I'm like, how long have those been in storage before they made it to the grocery store shelves? Because my carrots usually last a full year when I keep them properly stored in bags in the refrigerator. But I don't really harvest. I sow in early summer or spring, and then I don't harvest until the fall, and I usually wait maybe 1 or 2 here to cook with, but I wait until it cools down quite a bit, or even until we get our first frost before I pull everything up. Usually it's one of the last things I do in the garden in October. You can see these wire baskets. Those are actually like pieces from like closet shelving that I got at Menards because we have, if you are unfamiliar with my channel, we have a huge feral cat population here, a colony in my neighborhood, an issue in the whole Twin Cities, really. But any bare dirt just becomes litter box territory. So when I seed things, I have to cover everything to keep the cats out. That's why I have like bricks and rocks and just random stuff to keep the cats from using any bare spot as a litter box. You can see I like to mix flowers in my gardens quite a bit. And I mainly grow what I eat a lot of. I used to grow, well, in some years, maybe I will grow squash and cucumbers, broccoli again, but it's a lot of work. I work full time, and keeping up with harvesting and cooking everything, as well as all my other gardening, takes a lot of time. So this center plant, sure, I just put flowers in every year. Usually zinnias and angelonia does really well because they're really drought tolerant. I mix in marigolds with everything. I've got a bell pepper in the middle there. I had 2 cabbage growing. This is a self-seeded marigold from last year. Over on this side, I have some bush beans, blue 247 or 40, whatever that number is, just a classic bush bean. And I do have stakes because they tend to kind of tip over. So as they get bigger, I kind of stake them up, and it also makes them easier to harvest. Under these cages, I have Salanova lettuce. I eat a salad most nights for dinner. So I've got 3 of those, and I have some seedlings started as well. This bed was full of garlic. I planted garlic the past few years. You plant it in the fall and it overwinters, and you harvest probably maybe in about 2-3 weeks. Everything will be ready to harvest. This bed, pretty much up to like this line where I have those stakes, was all garlic. Kind of as an experiment, because these are newer beds to me. Well, we had a harsh winter and not a lot of snow, so most of the garlic froze out. I only got 5 that came up. So I'm letting those grow, and I'm just kind of planting things around it. I also have over here dill. This I just let self-seed all over the place. I pull it up wherever I don't want it. It's really not difficult to do. And then there's also catnip that self-seeds. Actually, I should probably pull that up right now. I just think it's pretty. And I dry it and give it away to people. My cats don't love catnip. They don't go crazy for it. They're kind of take it or leave it. But I just love the dill flowers, that lacy look. I think they're so pretty. And I always see caterpillars. It's like a food source for caterpillars, butterfly caterpillars. So I like to just let it grow. And I use it here and there as well. I do have 4 basil plant in here and plants. And you can see the Japanese beetles have been at work. They were all over this one, and now it seems they have moved on. Luckily, basil grows super fast. They're probably just doing me a favor, and it'll force me to prune it back. I have a couple weeds in there too, but another marigold. The lettuce seedlings will go in here. There are some feral kittens that I had a cabbage seedling, but the feral kittens were playing with it and uprooted it, so I no longer have a cabbage seedling, just lettuce. Little planter here with some coleus, petunias, and salvia. I've got geraniums. This over here is my herb planter. Oddly enough, I don't use a whole lot of fresh herbs until the fall when it's like harvest time. I should use more. I just love the smell of them. I love how they look. So I've got a couple rosemary in here, 2 different varieties. This is a salvia, Victoria Blue salvia. This is Bergarten sage. I love how big the leaves are, and that sort of like gray-green, sage green color, hence, the color name. I just love how that looks. That is such a fall taste to me. So in the fall, I'll make like sausage and squash dishes with that. Pasta, creamy pasta with sage. So yummy. And then this is oregano. This one is hot and spicy. Oregano sometimes is hardy here. I had one plant that came back for a few years in a pot. Just depends on the winter. So, and this is not a clay pot, it's a plastic pot. So this will just stay out here. And usually, again, before we get a frost, I come out here, or a freeze really. These can all tolerate a frost. I'll come out here and cut everything back. Rosemary freezes really well, so I just cut it into smaller chunks, stick it in a gallon Ziploc, and throw it in the freezer, and then I can use that all winter. And then sage and oregano dry really well. I've got a little basket. I put these up once things go on clearance. I've got some geraniums in there. Got random dill seeding itself around. And then these are my onions. These are candy onions. First time I've grown like big onions. And I haven't grown any type of allium or onion crop in the ground before. So I'm getting some good sized ones. It does get a little bit of shade over here. And oh, there's a spider across my path. Spider web. Sorry, spider, I'm gonna have to ruin your web. Yeah, so I move stuff around where I plant in the ground year to year. So maybe I'll try this in more sun next year since it was successful. I did buy these. I didn't purchase, or I didn't grow them from seed. I have bell peppers here, mostly red and orange. I have 1 yellow in the bunch, and they're all fruiting now. They've all got green peppers on them. I don't eat a lot of green peppers. They're not my favorite. all green peppers are not, there is no like, they're all red, yellow, or orange peppers that are just unripe. Like there isn't just a green pepper plant where the peppers stay green. They all ripen to red, yellow, or orange and become more sweet as the sugars condense. So, but some varieties taste better green or quote unquote unripe than others, where they get nice thick walls when they're still green and get nice and big. In the fall, again, when we're going to get a freeze and these are about to be goners, that's when I come and harvest everything that's left and I make more green pepper dishes. But otherwise, I just wait till everything ripens and I have them on my salad. I always keep diced up bell peppers in the fridge to put on salads at night. And then I just have marigolds in the bottom. These are grow bags. I've found the minimum size that's best for growing peppers, or the ideal sizes for me anyway, are either 10 or 15 gallons. So these two big ones are 15-gallon grow bags. I got those at a garden center, but you can find 15 gallons on Amazon. And then the smaller ones are all 10-gallon that I got from Amazon. And I tried to find ones, rather than being taller and narrow, I tried to find ones that were shorter and wider. And I really like these. And I use these year to year. They stay out all winter. They're super durable. And they were really cheap. So if they do break down, it's not going to cost a lot of money to get new ones. The mossy looking stuff on the side, that's lichen, that's not mold. These things don't mold out here. Perfectly healthy, harmless to the plants. It's just another plant growing on the bag. And obviously I water these when they dry out. Crops that really like grow bags, I didn't have a lot of luck growing squash or cucumber in grow bags because they like really moist, wet soil. They like a lot more moisture and a lot more even moisture. Versus allium, these are shallots. I eat shallots on my salad instead of onions. I just keep them chopped up. So I grow shallots that'll last me the whole year. But they like to dry out in between waterings. Same thing with peppers. They like to dry out a little bit between waterings. They don't want to be constantly soggy. So that works well with grow bags because there's so much airflow going through the soil, through the bag. I also tried growing zucchini in a grow bag and it didn't like it. So this year I have 5 zucchini plants, which is a lot in my second raised bed. I was just using up a seed packet and never thinned them out. The leaves are pretty pale, looking pale yellow. They look, they don't have like bug damage or anything, but I think it's nitrogen deficiency. I think they're lacking a little bit of nitrogen. So I just treated them with some blood meal, which is basically pure nitrogen. And then I use a fish emulsion fertilizer. Which is just a real gentle, I use that on all my vegetables, all my edibles, all my food crops. Gentle fertilizer with nitrogen in it. So hopefully these leaves will green up a little bit more. This is a newly installed this spring. So, and I used good grow mixes for it, but sometimes it takes a while for the ecosystem of the bed to get going. But I've gotten so far 6 zucchini and more coming. You just want to be careful when using nitrogen fertilizer because it will encourage leafy growth and not fruiting. So you'll have really healthy looking leafy plants with not a lot of fruit. So I just want to do the minimum to get these looking green and healthy and then back off. So I'm going to leave it for now and see what happens. If I need to apply more in a few weeks, I will, but hopefully not. There's the back side of that zinnia planter. And I really need to dig up, oh, I see a ripe strawberry, yay. I really need to dig up these strawberries because you can see I have no path left and it's really annoying. Shallots, my favorite variety is Matador. I grow these from seed. I've tried Innovator, Conserver, Matador, there's another one, Zebrune, and there's another, Ambassador. And Matador I find stores the longest and holds on to its moisture. It doesn't dry out, sprout, or rot nearly as fast as any of the other varieties I've grown. So this year I just ordered Matador. I had some seeds left of Zebrune, but not a whole lot. Got some peppers in there. I did one pepper in the center of this bed. This is the oldest bed now. And then because my cabbage seedling died, I picked up a cabbage plant from Garden Center for 50% off, so I could have another cabbage. I had 2 beautiful cabbage in there that I grew from seed, but I have harvested them. And then I haven't tried this pepper before. I've grown jalapeno, but that's about it. I don't grow a lot of hot peppers because I don't eat hot peppers are spicy, and this one isn't really that spicy. This is long hots. I got that after I harvested the carrot or the cabbage. I picked that up. But I've seen recipes for stuffed Italian peppers like that I want to try. So figured I'd give it a shot. It's now like doubled in size since I picked it up, so that's good. Lots of strawberries and dill popping up everywhere, and I've got marigolds kind of mixed in. I do have a pot of French tarragon and chives. Those stay out all winter because they are hardy here. And then I had this empty spot where I knew I couldn't really plant anything big, although my carrots didn't seed as well. But things get huge, you know, so I probably could have put another pepper in there, but instead I just threw a calibrachoa because I thought it would get kind of crowded between the cabbage and the carrots. Over here I've got garlic. So all the garlic, because they were new raised beds, I put garlic in the ground too as backup crop. So I do have a crop of garlic down here growing in the ground. And the ground is more insulated from the cold than a raised bed is. So all of that came up. And then all of this dill just seeded itself in front of the garlic, like in a row, which I thought was kind of cool. So I left it and it's blooming. They do brown and get kind of gross looking after they're done blooming. So I'll pull them out after that, or when I need to harvest the garlic. Looks like it's getting close here. Usually by the end of July is when we can harvest here. It's when like 3 or 4 of the leaves have browned out and there are only maybe 3 green leaves left on the plant. That's when it's harvest time. I have been pulling up some of my shallots that have been ready. Any kind of allium or onion, as soon as the neck gets soft and flops over, that's when it's ready to harvest. I have another pepper and some marigolds here. In this back corner, I might do a grow bag next year, but I had some extra seedlings. There's zinnia and gomphrena back there. This is kind of a weedy area. It's hard to keep the grass from encroaching. And then there's another bumblebees all over it, another catnip that seeded itself there. This trellis is where I normally would grow sweet peas or sugar snap peas or snow peas or whatever kind of pea. And I was thinking of planting cucumbers here this year. I like mini cucumbers so that I can pickle them. But all of these marigolds seeded themselves in here along with snapdragons that I had growing here last year. There are even more snapdragons down, dwarf ones that I think I'm going to dig up as soon as these last two shallots are done. I'm going to dig up the dwarf snapdragons and transplant them in there. By the end of July, we don't really have time to grow much anything other than maybe lettuce or something like that. If you start from seed. In garden centers, all of the vegetables are gone by that time. So I just fill this up with flowers once the vegetable crops are done. Usually the shallots, all these grow bags, I'll just fill with clearance flowers. But yeah, I have this beautiful patch of marigold. Same thing, everything in this container here was self-seeded from marigolds that I bought on clearance at the end of the season last year in the fall. And so I just dug them up from around. I think these are Fireball. I grew a lot of Fireball, but I had a mix of stuff. We've got 2 compost bins here. My mom mainly takes care of these, but food scraps we put in here all winter, shredded up paper bags. Like if we shred any paper, it goes in here. Dried leaves. They work pretty good, and they're out in full sun where it can really cook. So we can put weeds and stuff in there too. And then I need to clean this up. These are just pots of things that I've had, mostly weeds at this point. I keep a lot of the rocks back here so that if I need to, in a pinch, cover the soil to keep cats from getting at it, I can. But I probably don't need that many. There's one culprit right now, Mama Cat. She was the mom of the 3 feral cats that we adopted last summer. We tried to find them homes, and then decided we had bonded with them, so we kept them. But she now has at least 4 new kittens this year. So more strawberries, self-seeded marigolds over here. And that's the vegetable patch. I feel like I'm not growing a lot this year compared to previous seasons, but really I am. That's quite a bit of food. I guess I just don't harvest it all at once. You can see cosmos. These self-seed themselves over here too. I'll do another walk through this weekend. More of the daylilies have opened. It's just kind of peak season for those like mid-season blooms. I cannot wait until the hardy hibiscus opens. Those blooms are so stunning. Ooh, and I see a stargazer bloom getting ready to open too. Okay, stay tuned. Check back for a regular garden tour. So that's my vegetable garden. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.